So this is a quick video to let everyone know what we've been working on with the browser plugin and sort of why I think that's important uh, and some of the benefits that it can provide to the users who might use it. Um, and I think one of the best ways of sort of illustrating its benefits is by walking through the process of contributing a resource to OER Commons and showing some of the challenges that entails. So here we are at the OER Commons site. Um, let's say that a user is on the Khan Academy site and they're excited by something here and they want to contribute information about it to OER Commons. Let's pick the Intro to Conic sections. Right, so they've got this great resource and they want to add it into OER Commons. If we were, say, to ask some of our users, go find some really great resources that you think are interesting and share them with us. This is the process we'd be asking them to follow. So we'd ask them to go to OER Commons and contribute content. Right, that's assuming that they notice that button. We presume we may put them through some training, but if they don't know, this is it's not an intuitive process if you haven't sort of been walked through it. So you've got the contribute your content to OER Commons. They have to figure out what kind it is. I think that for teachers, if we're collecting resources that teachers actually use, they're going to be wanting to submit course-related materials. I think that's going to be the vast majority of the sort of individually interesting resources. Right, and that requires a login, which means that the user is going to have to create a login. I've already got mine. So we see the add course form here, and there's a bunch of data that they need to go and bring over. They need to find first the title, right? So Introduction to Conic Sections looks like a title. And then the URL pointer is the actual URL, right? So they cut and paste that. Abstract. So what's what looks like an abstract? Well, doesn't look like something clearly abstract-y. Maybe this. Maybe we can use this. That looks okay. So let's try that. Institution. Well, I guess we've got to guess. I guess Khan Academy is pretty good as an institution, right? Authors. Well, Salman Khan wrote all this stuff, didn't he? So we probably know that. But if it, we'd have to search notable hard or software. That, I'm not even sure how that applies in most cases. And then available keywords. Well, so we have to look through these. Probably we're going to find math on here. Depending on how knowledgeable the user is, they might try to look for other stuff. They might try to look for algebra. It takes a little time to look through all that stuff. And then new keywords, which is, other keywords. Conic sections, maybe? Conic sections. Maybe just algebra, since it's in the algebra section. But it's also sort of geometry, maybe. So, some guesswork involved there. And then selecting the, this sort of material. And this is, we know it's math and statistics, so that's fine. Probably guessing that it's secondary. Maybe there are smart kids who are studying conic sections in primary school. But that's probably not the way to bet. Looks like a video lecture. And then licensing, in the case of Sal Khan, it's pretty, it's clear, they make it clear that they're Creative Commons licensed. But that's not always obvious, right? And even if it is sort of obvious, looking at Creative Commons by NCSA and then looking at all of the choices that we provide, is it a latest version? Is it previous version? How do we know? If we look at the previous versions, we've got a big long list. So we look at this, and it doesn't actually say. Well, if you mouse over it on the right, you can see on the left that it's the URL says by NCSA 30 US. I can't actually show you that with the mouse, but if you look on the lower left-hand corner, when I mouse over here, you see that is version 3.0, so the user, if they're savvy enough, they look, and that's not available in this list, so they actually have to use latest, and they have to choose. And then, even though they know it's by NCSA, they sort of have to work their way backwards to that. Allow commercial use. No, because the NC there stands for non-commercial. Allow modifications to be, maybe that's close enough. And at some point, it may very well be that a user isn't quite sure and they just go for something that is close enough, right? So now we've selected conditions of use, and then we submit the resource. And it waits a little bit, and it waits a little bit longer. One of the reasons we're moving to a new platform is to hopefully get some speed advantages there. And so there we go. The resource has been submitted. We see that its status is pending. And basically that goes into our queue, and we approve these items as they come through, right? So that's a fairly heavyweight process, and the question is, how can we make that easier for users wherever possible? Well, let's go back to the main page on Khan Academy, and we'll submit another resource using the cool OER Commons plugin. So let's look at how about proof of hyperbola foci? So we've got a video here, right? But instead of going directly to OER Commons, as we did in the previous case, you'll see up here we've got a little button with the OER logo. And this is a browser plugin that's been written for Chrome, right? So if you push the button here, it takes you to a wizard that actually collects some of the data about the page automatically, right? We were on the page, we push the little button, and it brings us to basically a mechanism to submit this without having to go to the OER Commons website itself. And not only that, but it also gives us the opportunity to dig into the page and pull out some of that data on our own, right? We can automatically get the title, because the title comes from the title element of the HTML, right? The title of the page. Because if we look up here at the title, this is the title of the page, that has automatically been pulled into the title of the resource. Same thing with the URL. The URL here has automatically been pulled in to the resource URL field here. The abstract was actually pulled, you'll see that that is the same as it is here. That was actually pulled from the metadata of the HTML page itself, right? So that's already quite useful. We still have to fill in some data here. We can't automatically derive everything, but we can derive a fair amount. This also gives us the opportunity to change the flow of the data that we collect depending on what the user decides to tell us. So if they actually want to align this resource to a particular curriculum standard, the default is none, but one of the things that we're interested in doing is making it easier for people to align content with the Common Core standards. Right, so we can click on the Common Core Math Standards, and then in this case, the next page that we're taken to is a curriculum information page. So this is still very early on, and this is more a demo than anything else yet, even though it actually, it's fully functional and sends data to the back end. We can see the possibility of maybe splitting this up even more. Maybe deriving from the user's login information what grade they teach and presenting them only with curriculum guidelines for their grade. What we see here is actually everything from kindergarten to 4th grade in one big block. So they could actually align this content specifically with the Common Core standards by checking some of these boxes, and those end up becoming tags that are sent through to the back end. Or if we instead of going that way, just go with none, we see the typical the more familiar OER Commons interface there. So we see the ability to choose math and statistics, probably secondary. For keywords, we'd go down to mathematics. But here in the extra keywords section, we were actually able to pull this metadata again from the page itself. So instead of guessing what metadata we think might be important, we can actually figure out what metadata was added to the resource in the first place in the metadata. And then we select video lectures, video. And again, this wizard format allows us to branch in different ways, which is something that we don't currently do, and I think can make a huge difference as we move forward, and we are able to derive more data about a resource programmatically in this way. Right? Licensing. Licensing is really tricky. So for the purposes of this demo, we've just got a single license just to carry it through. That's an area that we're going to need to do more work on to make it bulletproof. For some resources, we should be able to actually automatically figure out what resource or what license is being used, right? We can see this logo here. That logo is an image. There's some text associated with that image. So we can actually figure out what license this is. That just isn't in the code yet. That's something that will be coming very soon. And then we click the Submit button, and it takes us to the page we already saw, except it's all filled out for one final review. And then you submit, and it goes into the back end. So that's what we're working on. I would say that it's probably not quite ready to be given to teachers yet, but I would say we're not too far off. The two biggest issues we need to work on right now, the first issue is getting the licensing part squared away so that that works. And the second part is how we deal with resources that already exist. Because if this resource had already existed, then we would have different opportunities to rate and review the item, but those can only be done as step 2 for resources that already exist in the system. So we'll be working on an interface for tagging, rating, and reviewing content that is already in the system. And hopefully that'll be coming on quick. So that's it. Hopefully we'll have more updates soon.